has the second largest number of tall buildings in North America, next to New York City. So everything we do in the city is about infill. How do we fit it in? How do we design it to respect the existing neighborhoods, the existing context of the city? These tall buildings are very desirable. People want to live in them. We've done surveys that demonstrate that, and I think the marketplace tells us that people want to live in tall buildings. What we need are better tools to help design and make them fit into our centers and the downtown so that they work properly. That's our challenge.
The building's like mostly rectangular.
There's development interest in downtown Toronto coming from all sides. The province is directing growth to downtown. People want to live here. The development community wants to build buildings here, and it's also being directed by the city.
The city had performance guidelines which were applicable to the whole city. What they didn't have was where tall buildings should be located and how high they should be in the downtown.
In order to discover the Toronto vision for tall buildings, we first looked at how other cities are addressing similar pressures. We studied New York, we studied Chicago, Vancouver, Calgary, Boston, and San Francisco. And for each of these places, we'd look at how they regulate tall buildings in the downtown, what tools they use, and how those could be applied in Toronto.
Well, I'm always amazed when I talk to Torontonians just how passionate they are about tall buildings. And some people, the passion is negative, so those who tend not to like them I think are often thinking back to the 60s and 70s when the old model was tower in the park and buildings were set away from the street as objects in the landscape. The streets were designed entirely for the convenience of the car. The emphasis really is back on streets for people.
They should be focused in the downtown area where they have an existing...
Toronto architects have a great history of design quality, design excellence, and a really clear understanding of how the city works and the city's fabric.
This document helps take that to the next level.
It's very strategic in terms of defining and describing how buildings should relate to their neighbors, how they should step down to the surrounding context, and how they should relate to other buildings on the street.
The report offers Toronto a vision for the downtown through locating most future tall buildings along Toronto's major streets like Bloor, Bay, and University. Through inviting great development along these important streets, we reflect their significance in the city. The Tall Buildings Report shows us where tall buildings should be, how high tall buildings should be, and how tall buildings should be regulated.
Basically, it says to developers, come build in our city, but in return, we want a great downtown.
The big aha moment for us was in the middle of the study when we realized suddenly that it was all about the major streets in the downtown. Toronto is defined by its streets. They're the skeleton, they're the lifeblood of our city. The streets are our public realm. Along streets is where people leave their homes and workplaces and mingle together, travel and hang out. It is along its streets that one is able to see reflected civic life, character. It's the real juice of the city.
Pedestrians will start to see an increase in the amount of open space. They'll start to see an increase in the width of sidewalks, the amount of landscaping on sidewalks, the material palette that's used in the detailing of the sidewalks and the base of the building. It's generally a heightening or an increase in the quality of materials.
The base building comes right up to the sidewalk, but the building's pushed back so that there's more room on the sidewalk. And we have shop windows, cafes, opening right up onto the street.
Towers are going to be tall and slim. They're going to be spaced apart so that as a pedestrian, you're not going to feel boxed in by the buildings, and you're not going to feel wind coming straight down from the tower.
There's an onus on developers and their designers to make sure that tall buildings are really excellent because they're up there. You can't help but see them. So they have to look really good from a distance. They have to fit into the skyline. They have to look like they're fitting in with their neighbors. They also have to look great when you're walking by them on the street. So they have to be detailed really, really well. And in order to ensure that, or one way that we're going to ensure that the buildings are really good, is by making sure that the downtown tall buildings go before the design review panel. And they're fair, but they're also really tough. If it's not good enough, they're going to tell you about it.
Parts of the downtown will not have tall buildings. The established neighborhoods, the low-scale shopping streets like Queen Street and Yonge Street, heritage sites, prominent view corridors, and major city parks. All these places are going to be protected.
I've lived in Toronto for 30 years and I've worked in the city for 30 years. I think this is great. It's where I intend to retire, and I think this is going to make this a better city.
The underlying value is to use the development of tall buildings as a tool to create these great streets and to enhance the quality of life of people living in Toronto.
I think the rules are realistic, buildable, and they work.
People love living in the downtown. The downtown is a great place. It has great cultural institutions, great retail, beautiful public spaces. We want to continue the tradition of growing the livable city. A city that's sustainable as well, with green standards and green roofs. I think by and large, we're building the base for an enduring and viable downtown and a place of vibrant public life.
And this study gives us the framework to do that.
And do great architecture.
In Toronto's way.
And make a great city even greater.